Zugzwang here, back from the future. I've just cast a pretty cool game featuring the new look Genitron. And in a minute, I'm gonna get that rolling. But it occurs to me that in order to really follow what you're seeing, it would help if I first gave a short primer on the new energy style Genitron. If you're already an expert on the recent patches, just skip ahead and enjoy the game. Otherwise, I'm gonna demo some of the basics real quick here. First up, in addition to tracking minerals, gas, and supply, the Genitron almost now has a quasi-fourth resource called energy. It's not unlike the energy that accumulates in a Protoss Nexus for chrono boosting. Just like the Genitron of old, that energy stores in the processing core, and you can increase its rate of production by building processing nodes, the structures that give you supply. Each node increases the energy production by 1 point per second. And there's a new building called the generator, which increases it by 3 points per second, but does not grant supply. Why do you care about energy? For several reasons, but the main one is this. Energy can boost your rate of production. The 3 production facilities, the manufacturer, the fabricator, and the assembly array, all now come with 3 modes. There's performance mode, which means units are produced at their full cost of time, but the building facility requires no energy to do it. There's standard mode, which means units are built at 150% production rate, i.e. faster, but at a cost of 1 energy per second. And then there's overclock, which in addition to sounding super cool, means you get a 200% production rate. So units are really getting cranked out, but at a cost of 2 energy per second. So as you watch the game, look for the glowy dots on the top of each production building to see what the player is doing. A green dot means it's in performance mode, blue is standard, and yellow is the all-important overclock. If a player runs out of energy, production is immediately halted, which is bad. So players need to manage their energy at all times. They will be hearing the sound.
Not enough energy.
Energy is also used to power several abilities. For example, the basic tank, the Blitzer, still has that supercharge ability, but instead of a cooldown, it costs 10 energy. It only stores 10 energy, so after it uses the super shot, it's depleted, unless it's in range of a building that provides energy like a processing core, in which case it grabs 10 energy and it's ready to fire again. You can see the defensive strategies there. And mining priority. The ability that lets harvesters, the ACRs, crank out more minerals faster. That now costs 100 energy, so you have to balance that too. Remember that the processing drone still helps you supply energy to units in the field. And there's a new building called a relay tower, which also helps supply energy. There's a lot more. The upgrades have moved around and some of the structures do different things than you may be used to, but that's enough to get us going. Besides, I've just been teased that Sigmar has plans to do a detailed dive into this on the Scioncraft Channel. So with that in mind, let's get to our game. It's going to be a Genitron versus Zerg. The focus will of course be on the Genitron. Let's rock and roll. Okay, I have it on good authority that this game is going to help exhibit some of the recent changes to the Genitron. I'm just learning it all myself, but I understand the changes go a long way towards making the Genitron feel like a truly unique race. The Genitron opponent today is going to be a Zerg who is clearly pouting by using the Brood War hatchery. The Zerg's just a bit sour because clearly the Genitron are going to get the lion's share of attention today. One reason for that is because the Genitron pilot today is going to be the lead developer for the Scion races. Yes, indeed, it is the actual Solstice behind the Genitron today. And if anybody's on top of the recent changes, you gotta think it's the guy who made them. Our hosting map is gonna be Moondance. Well, it's a marvelous night for a moondance. You may not have been aware that Van Morrison was a hardcore Starcraft player. A Terran for most of his career, he switched to Zerg later in life. Our Genitron player is next scheduled to occur on December 21st this year. He is Solstice! Never let it be said this channel is not informative. Our Zerg player was originally part of the Irish rock band U2, but then he split off for his own solo career and he became just you! Yu is of course known in the Scion community as Magical Cookie. He is a YouTuber and streamer and taker of names. He is a terrific guy to be watching if you want to pick up some build orders. Though today he's just done a hatch first, followed by the usual extractor pool which is about to pop. Solstice has gone for a manufacturer expand, getting a second node to enhance his energy supply. Both players are tied for workers as we come out of the start gate, which is a positive for Genitron. Solstice did the early scout, Zerg did not, sending an overlord instead. I've watched a few games with Solstice now, and the only generalization I'm prepared to make is that he is a man who appreciates his upgrades. Not surprising that he knows them well, seeing as he codes them. His manufacturer is in green performance mode, by the way. It's not drawing energy. Right now, we see the energies being invested into economy. Solstice has fired off a mining priority. Yu is making double queens and picking up ling speed. Solstice dropping manufacturers 2 and 3 to protect his natural. He's also getting an outfitting station. That building has definitely changed from what we knew. For one thing, you have to have one if you want to unlock fixers and equalizers now. Oh, Yu's Overlord's gonna spot that the manufacturer has just switched over to standard mode. That's the blue mode. And it's cranking out a blitzer, which is a unit that can shoot up. Zerg takes his third. I've only seen Yu play Zerg a few times now, but he has not done early aggression in any of the games I've seen. He's been an Econ Zerg, which does a fantastic job of pushing out his creep. Oh, we can see that blitzer is indeed chasing down that Overlord. There's some first blood potential here. Oh, a relay tower going up for the Genitron. One thing I had overlooked, the relay tower unlocks the processing drone. Oh, that Overlord has reached its shelf life. Yep, there it goes. Yeah, so as I was saying, the processing drone was a pretty core Genitron unit before, but I think now it has just gone even up a higher tier. It's your scout, it's your detector, it's your debuffer, and it's a way that you get energy into the field. Solstice starts up an analysis terminal. That building has been totally repurposed. It used to be a late game building that would unlock the Badger. Now it's the structure you build so that you can research your numeric upgrades. It's your eBay or Forge. And that analogy holds because you need an analysis terminal before the Genitron can make turrets. Okay, Zerg finishes his third base and he is droning hard. Solstice has been able to keep pace with the Zerg on workers, but at the same time he's got an army lead. Yu starts a roach war and I think he's got Overlord speed. That's an interesting timing. Whenever I see Overlord speed, I'm always reminded of when Special, aka Major, had that little tirade where he declared Zerg Overlord speed is actually the most OP upgrade in the game. His point was that it completely shuts down anything sneaky that the Terran wants to do. There's just no way to stop a scout with a high speed Overlord. Processing drone is out and Genitron is about to finish madcap rounds. That's the basic battle upgrade for the Spitfire. There's been a lot of finessing with that upgrade as the development team tries to get that one just right. Spitfires have dominated the Genitron game for a long time, and I think they're finally starting to share the limelight a little bit here. Once again, Yu doing a fantastic job spreading his creep. He's almost got his lair tech. We'll see what he wants to do once he finishes that. Solstice has got all his manufacturers on blue standard, and all three are going to be cranking out equalizers. I think the equalizers are going to be absolute roach killers. And as I say that, Yu starts up his first roach. He's still making queens 2 at a time and droning heavily. Yu's getting +1 range to go with his +1 armor, so I think he might be serious about the roaches. Solstice pushing out. You can see the sight blockers on Moondance are a really big deal. They form this giant S pattern, and I've seen so many players get ambushed in the middle of the map because they couldn't see what was in front of them. When the processing drone has that white circle on it, you know it's turned into a detector. Though you probably figured that out from all the creep tumors that are getting annihilated. Yu's trying to decide if he has enough to push this back or if he needs to wait. Unless Yu is one of these transfuse gods, and he just might be, I think the queens could be vulnerable to that equalizer punch. Queens are not armored, so there's no rock, scissors, paper thing going on there, but I don't think it matters. Oh yeah, this is gonna get ugly. Yu throws down a baneling nest. Roaches are not what he wants here. Transfuses are happening everywhere, but the queen's gotta be alive to cast the spell. A couple of roaches showing up to help. He's actually making a huge round of roaches behind this, 10 in fact. As good as I think those equalizers are, maybe they can't handle 10 roaches. Okay, this just got interesting. Zerg is in trouble. Solstice going after one of the Evo chambers. It's upgrading, he gets it. You just lost his +1 melee attack. You is trying to get his roaches clumped together so they can attack at once. Oh, I think he has succeeded. He's forcing the Genitron back, but Solstice has to be happy with that hit. He killed 6 queens, 6 of them. Solstice is gonna celebrate by starting up his 3rd. That's that backdoor expansion though. It doesn't have as many mineral nodes as the other bases. Yu's 3rd base is long up and running, and it remained intact. That's why he has the income lead right now. And he's gonna need that to get back in this. He just started up Baneling speed. And every single one of his hatcheries is trying to make a replacement queen. Solstice is also getting to work on replacements. He lost his processing drone in that fight. He's making a new one right now. Zerg decides he needs roaches to survive. He makes 7 more. Unfortunately, the Genitron is making more equalizers. At this point, I'd be tempted to call them unequalizers. There's that backdoor pocket base I was talking about. You access it from the natural. It's a pretty safe spot. Look at that. Zerg's making a 4th, but he's also making a macro hatch right in his main. And then Solstice goes for a 4th. Assuming these all go up, Genitron's gonna be on even bases. That will be a pretty healthy sign for the robots. The processing drone is back to clearing creep. Solstice is keeping his equalizers in reserve though. I think he's trying to bait out the roaches, or he's just trying to keep them safe from the banelings. Baneling speed is not quite done yet, and you can tell that you really wishes it was. Genitron vanishes behind the sight blockers. This is where it gets really uncomfortable for both players. Neither knows what they're walking into. Solstice gets a peek and then decides maybe he's bitten off more than he can chew. Seeing those Ravagers, I suddenly like the decision to make all those roaches a lot more. The Ravagers are not armored, and they contribute that range that the Zerg was missing. Zerg now has the bigger army, and he's got 24 more lings on back order here. It seems like the Genitron is doing very well with its side-to-side game, but they're gonna need to be careful, or that army could get crushed. Thanks to the miracle of creep, Yu has perfect vision as to where the Genitron army is. Is he gonna sack that base? No, he was trying to bait him in. Solstice doesn't take the bait. He exits stage left and kills some creep tumors along the way. That does give you back the high ground advantage. Oh, we've got a run by here. There's no defensive support for that 4th base. Genitron rushes back to defend. He's got a counter run by though. It slips by the Zerg army and goes right to the mineral line. Des, you have the firepower to get that core down before the army comes. Both sides are very likely to defend here. Who's gonna get more damage? Solstice has cleaned up the Zerg attackers at his 4th base, and he's used the opportunity to start saturating the base with workers. Yu gets the cleanup as well, but he's lost the worker lead as a result of that exchange. Actually, to my surprise, there's not a lot of worker kills for either player right now. Yu just goes right back to droning and takes that worker lead back. But here comes Solstice with more workers than you can count. Yu probably doesn't want to count them though, he wants to kill them. Solstice is adding an assembly ray. He's preparing for an air transition. And he's about to get a snipe on this forward base. He does, it's a horror pinata. Those lings trade pretty decently against those equalizers. And there might be a little bit of an interception here. No, Genitron with the dodge. Solstice gets the hatch snipe and gets away with the bulk of his army. Yu starts dropping spine crawlers. He needs some kind of defense against these run-bys. Oh, I see a generator being made here. Solstice showing off the entire tech tree. Oh no, Queen's caught off creep. Equalizers looking to capitalize. Ravagers rushing down the ramp for the save. Solstice just relentlessly attacking, finding opportunities everywhere. And now he's getting both the upgrades for his processing drone. That turns it into a cloaked unit and makes the drone a permanent detector that doesn't require energy. You effectively turn the processing drone into an observer that can also cast spells. The Ravagers fighting to get you back in this game, and making me look foolish for questioning why he was building so many roaches. Oh, Solstice is up to 3 generators. That makes sense, he's up to 5 manufacturers all cranking out units in standard mode. And he's overclocking his assembly array to crank out Jupiters. That is a fan favorite unit we haven't seen in a while. I haven't tested it, but I infer they can now pick up more energy. Spitfire is gonna catch you with the naked expansion. Not you, the listener, I mean you, the player. God, that ID can cause problems. Baneling's looking to connect on those equalizers. Oh, incoming Jupiters! They are so fast, you blink and you miss them. And they cloak when they're using their run-by energy. Yu's caught out here. His army does not have any capacity to shoot up. This is looking like an absolutely deadly decision by Solstice here. He's getting free shots. Zerg immediately puts down a spire and an infestation pit next to it. He's even researching burrow. That's one way to try to hide from a Jupiter. Jupiter's napalming the mineral line. Several patches back, the Jupiter was adjusted so that the drones automatically flee, or at least disperse so they don't automatically walk through the fire. But while that helps to keep your workers alive, it still disrupts your mining heavily. Zerglings seem to disperse as well. I wonder if it's all light units do that now. Yu's trying to get some spores up around his hatchery. He needs some defense badly. That spire's still not done. It takes an agonizing 71 seconds. And look who's ready to come attack again. I don't know about you people, but Solstice is really impressing me with his aggression. I mean, who peed in his cornflakes this morning? It's another horror pinata. Oh, Ling's streaming in to try to get some kind of revenge. Oh, the Jupiters are right there. And so many of the Banelings got killed off before they could connect. But Yu does have a counterattack going off on the left-hand side. He is unopposed until the Jupiters arrive. They just completely flew across the map from the opposite side. Suddenly, Solstice is everywhere at once. Yu's got the worker lead, he's got the upgrade lead, he's mining more minerals, but you'd never know it. He is fighting for his life here. Solstice gets the cleanup and saves his processing core. Zerg did manage to take out one manufacturer, and it looks like quite a few workers. But look at this, 15 Ravagers hatching. Ooh, the Jupiters lay waste to the mineral line once again. Here come those Ravagers. Yu needs a hold here, but he also needs some kind of answer to those Jupiters. His spire is finally done. Oh, he's making corruptors. That is how you're gonna kill a Jupiter. Solstice did a lot of damage with his window there, but has it closed now? Or are the Jupiters gonna drop a few more napalms just for old time's sake? The sound effect on that thing is awesome, by the way. Those Ravagers, though, are pushing ahead here. Oh! Never mind, they just got completely nuked. Zerg fights back with a stream of corrosive biles. But those Ravagers are badly softened up. Oh, the Queens are getting ripped apart as they try to retreat. Finally, the first batch of Corruptors are here. But is there enough? I think there's like 5 Jupiters out there at this point. And that core is just resupplying them with energy so they can just speed bomb over and over and over. When they're not bombing, they're really quite slow and vulnerable. A Zergling hit squad's on the way. Yu is making a greater spire. We're gonna see Broodlords in this game. We had a bit of a slow start, but this game is shaping up to be really quite cool. We've counted out Yu in games before, but he's definitely a guy who can fight his way back. Solstice shows off his unique defense for a third base. He just doesn't build one there. The Lings have nothing to attack. Okay, the Corruptor count has climbed up to 8. That's looking pretty formidable now. I mean, for sure they're gonna have to watch out for the equalizers, but they're pretty beefy. I see, and then the Banelings show up to deal with the equalizers. Hive tech is done, and Yu is researching the crackling upgrade adrenal glands. But we also see the Genitron adapting as well. Solstice is making Avengers. That single assembly ray has been overclocking all game long. Oh, Baneling's trying to slip into the natural. That's one way to turn a game around. Solstice sees it. Does he get the worker pull? It looks like a partial pull, but it looked like a good 10 worker kills there. Meanwhile, Core goes down on lockdown, briefly transforms into a command center, and then vanishes. Zerg striking back. We got ourselves a game. But here come the Avengers. It's Thor and Captain Marvel. Solstice is now down to 4 bases. His main is completely mined out, and 2 of his bases are almost mined out. His mineral intake is about to completely tank. He needs to do some return damage here. Zerg's got mine out issues too though. He's really only got 2 bases at full capacity right now. Oh, analyze weakness on the entire army, and then the Jupiters capitalized by following up with the napalm. Zerg just lost 45 supply in an instant. I mean, the Genitron lost a lot in that battle too, but that was devastating. Another horror pinata. Both players are absolutely hurting bad right now, but Zerg has really had the boots taken to him. Both players really paying attention to the air battle right now. It's Corruptors for Zerg, Avengers for the Genitron, because it's quite clear that if Genitron has air superiority, the Jupiters get to do their thing. And that thing, it is fiery death. Solstice starting up a new base at that vacant third. You going for that backdoor expansion finally. He's swallowed his pride and he's coming down to that level. He's also attempting to rebuild the hatch he just lost. And he might be losing another. Yes, he is. Yu's gonna sack it. He surrenders it. Solstice clearly does not like Brood War art hatcheries. Both our players are really gonna be hurting for minerals. And we have witnessed the demise of a lot of digital gladiators at this point. And it looks like I just missed the Crimson Zone. Hopefully I can go back in and put that in post. Solstice is just continuing with his unrelenting side-to-side game here. He destroys, he moves, he destroys, he moves. Oh, Zerg researching pathogen glands. That's an inspired idea. Get some infestors in here. Fungal growth to slow down that death ball, or neural parasite to pick off some key units. Anybody ever see a Jupiter nuke his own army? Oh, that would be a Starcraft first. I'd like to see that. So the Avenger is an air-to-air superiority fighter, but it also has a Vengeance missile. I think we've seen one, and you can micro that manually against ground targets. Oh, Solstice now has the worker lead for the first time in a long time, and he's definitely got the army lead. Yu looks to be trying to tech switch into Hydras. I'm guessing he gave up on the Broodlords once the Avengers showed up. Solstice definitely has the critical mass of those at this point. He's ruling the skies. And he's done it all off of one overclocked assembly array and a second one which he's put into performance mode. Performance mode. There's gotta be a Viagra joke in there somewhere, but I'm just not seeing it. Oh, a Roach Bane hit squad looking to see if they can get something done near the top there. The Avengers are suddenly finding the skies rather target poor. Fortunately, they do have those Vengeance missiles. They just decimate a queen there. Meanwhile, with the Zerg attack, Solstice successfully defends a base by not having one. Works for me. Yu has made the critical mistake of having a base and now it's being attacked. There's your important StarCraft lesson, kids. Don't make bases because they can be destroyed. If only tryhards like Cyril and Raynor knew that strat, they'd be unstoppable. Yu has scraped together a bit of an army here, and he is threatening the third once again. You just can't count this guy out. And while he's doing this, he is indeed making those infestors. Baneling's trying to crack into that natural. They get through and find the mineral line completely empty. It's been mined out. No! My whole life was futile. The Ravagers at the third, on the other hand, have been picking up a ton of worker kills. But it's the Zerg who really has no workers left at this point. And he has stopped droning. I think he's stopped macroing completely. Nope, he's made his decision. He's gone for a huge round of infestors, and he's researching neural parasite. He's either gonna find a way to turn this game around, or he's gonna go out with a bang. Solstice is finding no air army left to oppose him. Shock and awe is once again gonna be the order of the day here. But he has to pull up because there's 3 spores guarding that hatchery. Oh, look at that, he's just gonna napalm the spore. I hadn't seen that before, but why not? Oh, the infestors see it. Are we gonna see the fungal? They are burrowed, getting into position. Here they come. Fungal hits. Can he chain it? He does. He goes for a third. That hits too. The fungals are nothing short of brilliant, but Solstice's army is so big at this point. Behind this, Solstice is adding another base and he's ringing it with turrets. Oh, the Jupiters are really taking hits. That was just a terrific exchange for the Zerg, but was it enough? It looks like it was enough to convince Solstice to go home for a moment. We gotta see the worker kills on this. 94 for Solstice. This man does not like drones. On the other hand, I think we're going to see the Genitron economy start to flare up. His newly remade base is about to complete, and he's got the static D to protect it. The infestors aren't going to do anything to that. Somehow Zerg has got his drones back up to 45, and now he's going to try to rebuild his corruptor count. That's a tall order with all those Avengers around getting bored. They are more than happy to trade out against corruptors. Oh, vengeance missiles on the buried infestors. The processing drones detect them. The processing drone has really been an MVP this game. We saw that analyze weakness that destroyed the Zerg army. We saw the processing drone donate energy to the Jupiters to zip across the map to defend. I think the processing drone has become such an important unit for the Genitron. They do so much more than deliver Amazon packages. That is a good corruptor count for you. The problem is that's kind of all he has. And they're not going to put a dent into his opponent unless he can try for caustic spray or something. That is exactly what he's going to do. I read his mind there. But the Avengers are not far. The corruptors outnumber them, but there are supporting forces on the ground. The processing drone fires off an analyzed weakness and then gets refueled by the processing core. And with that, Yu has no army left and no drones left. He is getting some very satisfying kills off on Jupiters here. It's really nice when they explode into that sort of firework formation. Oh, Zerg's gonna try to gamble on a rebuild. He's droning up again and making a new base. But Solstice has just been too aggressive this game to let that go. He's now making blitzers 5 at a time. We haven't seen a lot of those this game. He's also rebuilding his Avenger count. They've done well against the Corruptors, but not against the Infestors. If he can get another chain fungal out there maybe, or perhaps field some of those Hydras. Genitron starts up another base, a very forward position. Solstice displaying a lot of confidence, and he should be. He is leading in every category at this point. And this army's not going to care about the spores. And Yu taps out! It's GG, that was a fun one. I had to go back and get you guys a better angle of what happened at the 13-minute mark, because it was pretty cool. Yu is counterattacking and hitting Solstice at his third base location. Solstice, having done an attack of his own, looks like he's out of position. But the processing drones are going to refuel the Jupiters. As soon as that happens, they're going to have the energy to immediately streak across the map and attack. And the Zerg army just takes a fiery pounding. And then, because the fight's taking place next to a processing core, the core is going to refuel one of the Jupiters yet again. So that is one feisty little combo. But that's probably not what won the game here. That moment might have just been here. Zerg's got a slight army lead with 173 supply. The processing drone's going to drop an analyze weakness, which the Jupiters are then going to capitalize on. When all is said and done, Zerg's supply drops to 131. And very shortly thereafter, he's going to lose his hatchery. So my takeaway from all of this is, it's probably worth your while to learn how to use a processing drone. They seem to have their fingerprints all over this game. That's it for me. I guess I should say, if I can manage it, I hope to have a special game next week, so don't miss. If you're so inclined, hit the subscribe button so Google knows to tell you about it.
Actually, that's not a bad idea.
And from my base to yours, Zugzwang out. To continue your StarCraft journey, Nova advises you to click the video in the upper rectangle. But Kerrigan warns you to watch your 6 and click the video in the bottom rectangle. Or you can stimpack your StarCraft experience. Subscribe to Zugzwang StarCraft. Just hit the circle. From my base to yours, Zugzwang out.